wiser since my goodbye to you. I've traveled the world.
Well, good afternoon again, everybody, and welcome to 3 Minutes to Midnight. My name's Laurie Alexander, joined by Robbie D. Hey, Rob.
Lascadania, comrades.
Lasagna. Ooh, so professional with love. Every time I watch 007 or I think of 007, I think of Vladimir Putin. So that's why I decided to play that.
I think of vodka. I think of vodka. I just need a drink now.
Vodka too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Here I am. Okay, I just want to let everybody know I'm laying in bed, relaxing. Decided to chillax this afternoon. I'm looking for some jobs on Craigslist, and I'm watching the 4400. So I decided to just chillax a little bit before the show tonight. And Robbie can't stand that I lay down and I rest. So I get this. You're never gonna guess what's going on. So tell us, Robbie, what is going on? What's the breaking news?
Well, it came through on the news feed. As I'm just going to go to it now. It's from Red Flag News. Red flags always come up when I see red flag news, but apparently it's actually legit, and it's breaking, and it's a question mark. Assassination attempt on Putin kills his driver? Question mark. So I click on the link. And lo and behold, there's a video of a car spinning off a dual carriageway in, I think it's Moscow. It says breaking assassination attempt on Putin. And now I've got to try and scroll down and up on my phone. And
while you're scrolling down and you read us the news story.
Yep.
Trying to play the CCTV footage of the crash.
Yep. Okay. Oh. Well, as you're all playing that, I will read this, and I'm just going to find it again now. Facebook is so slow just when you need it. Vladimir Putin's presidential car has involved in a deadly head-on crash in Moscow. The Russian president's favorite chauffeur was killed in a horrific collision, which was captured in CCTV footage. And we've got to scroll down a bit more. Yeah, the presidential BMW was traveling on Kutovsky Avenue in the Russian capital when a Mercedes veered from the other side of the road, smashing onto it head on. Putin, I might add, was not in the car at the time, which was quite lucky, really. Russian media reports that the president's official driver was killed in the crash, and then it says we'll read more. Right, so just bear with me now, and because it's a lot of clickbait on here. Right. Oh, it's taking you to the Sun. Right, it's taking you to the Sun, which is the UK's favourite toilet paper tabloid. I haven't read the Sun in years, and I never will, but I will just for argument's sake. Read it now. Now it's just gone and clickbaited me somewhere else. Oh, here we go. Putin's official presidential car involved in head-on crash in Moscow. And now some more clickbaits come up. Yeah, close that there. Don't you just love you just love the internet?
Yeah.
Here we go. Shocking crash that killed driver was with over 40 years experience captured on brutal CCTV footage. The Russian president's favorite, Vladimir Putin's car was been involved in a deadly head-on crash in Moscow. The Russian president's favorite chauffeur was killed in horror collision, which was captured on CCTV footage. High-speed collision. Putin's presidential BMW involved in a horror crash. Basically just mirroring what I've just said. The Russian media reports that the presidential official was driving in the crash. Medics are said to have arrived quickly on the scene, but the unnamed victim, who had more than 40 years driving experience, died instantly. It is not known if the driver of the other car was injured in the crash. The presidential car was officially registered as belonging to the Federation Council, Russia's equivalent to the House of Lords. Police are investigating the exact cause of the crash. It raises fears over the Russian premier's safety when being ferried to his official vehicles. Putin will be the first recipient of the new Russian-built luxury limousine next year. He's expected to receive the newly designed Cortege by the end of 2017. It is similar to the Beast, the armor-plated vehicle used to transport the U.S. President Barry Soetano Obama on official visits. But unlike the Beast, the Cortege will be made available to the public in 2018. The bulletproof vehicle, produced by SUV, limo, sedan, and minivan versions, it boasts door-to-door 10 times thicker than the average car door and has its own oxygen supply system, according to Venus News. Versions of the mammoth car will also be added to Russia's fleet of vehicles for high-ranking officials and politicians. So there you have it. Yes. Was it an accident? Was it an assassination attempt?
Well, we're going to get to that in just a second. I want to thank, there's something that's just come to my attention. I'll get to that in just a second. Up on the screen, you can see in the middle, there is right here, this black vehicle right here. If you pay attention to this, it is in the far left-hand lane going toward the bottom of the screen. It looks like a car coming up, going the opposite direction, crossed over this double meridian, white line meridian, and crashes head-on into the driver's side. Let's take a look at that real quick, and then I'm going to get to the information that was just given to me on this event. Boom. See that?
Do it again. Go back.
Do it again.
Boom. That doesn't look like an accident. That looks like a deliberate attempt at crashing the car and then a successful attempt. But hey, accidents happen. Hey, you know, it could be a coincidence. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It just happens to be that. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Jeff, my friend Jeff, is just messaging me on Facebook. He is in contact with Zachary Hubbard, who we know is our gematria guru in the YouTube world. And according to Zachary, he says the sum 9-6, which is today's date, 9-6 is a number. Some Freemason false flag hijinks with Putin's driver. So
tell him to give Zach the link and come into the chat if he feels free. I think that would be quite interesting to hear that. You tell him he's more than welcome.
Let me message Zach.
He probably heard that. You know, I was sitting here today, and I said, well, it's the 6th of the 9th. Okay, what's going to happen today? Yeah. And lo and behold, there you go.
Okay. Hold on a second. I just messaged him on Facebook. Hold on a second. I need to pull the link. Boom, boom, boom. I need a secretary to do the show.
What? You need a sexy Terry? Oh no, you probably got one of them.
Well,
no. Nah. No, you just need to work harder.
Shut up. I need to work harder. Good Lord, have you met me? Yeah. Running a successful business here. Trying actually, and now I'm job hunting. So come on, cut me a break.
Just type faster with more meaning.
Okay, so Jeff is also going to message Zach. I just messaged Zach, see if he wants to come in. I am going to send Jeff the link to see if he wants to come in and talk about this.
Yeah, well, more the merrier, more the merrier. We need
Exactly.
a few takes on this. It's a shame Billy's not available right now because he'd be
exactly. I did message our friend Billy, and he's not available. But his would definitely be a different spin on what is happening. His is, you know, being the victim of you know, of the Russian government there.
Yep.
So
yeah, absolutely. But as we know, all is not always as it seems. You know.
Right.
See,
and yes, Peacemaker in the chat room just said, has anybody done any cross checking on Google? Of course we have. Before we went on the air, we do that. We don't just pop on the air. Hey Jeff, welcome.
Hi Jeff.
You gotta mute the show in the background, hon.
Yeah, and turn your camera off to save bandwidth.
Hey, can you hear me?
I
Yeah,
can hear
I
you.
can hear you.
Just make sure that the show is muted in the background.
Yeah.
Where do I turn it off at?
Go back to the show on YouTube and just mute it.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
You know. So welcome to Jeff Young. He's going to sit in and talk with us about this. Hopefully we can get Zach to maybe come in and just give us 10 minutes to talk about this. But yeah, this doesn't really appear to be.
Hello there.
Hello.
This doesn't really appear to be.
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
Hello.
Hold on. He may have. Hold on.
Yeah, he may have a little issue with.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Don't mute your computer.
Yeah.
Just the show link.
Yeah.
Because if you mute the whole computer, you can't hear anything.
There you go. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear us now? Hello.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff. Come in, Jeff. Yeah. He'll get there.
He'll get there.
He'll get there.
I hear him clicking. He'll get there.
Can you hear us? I hear a click. So.
Yeah, click.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, you can.
There you go. Can you hear us?
We're in action now.
Excellent.
Woo! Excellent.
Hey.
Show. Jeff, we were just talking about this. It doesn't really look like to be anything in, you know, when you look at it from the outside, but when you look at the numerology part of it, well, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
I don't think he heard us.
I don't think so either.
I'm here. I had to kill your video. I was hearing you guys. It was
got you.
It was a whole disorienting scenario over here.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell me about it. It does. It's very disorienting.
Yeah. It's almost like Woodstock all over again.
When I saw Laurie's post, I'm just sitting here playing my guitar, and when I saw her thing come up on my news feed about Putin, I immediately, Zach and I always shoot each other tips, and I shot him. Yeah, I shot him the details about that, and he immediately texted back 9/6, and then he followed that up with a second text that said Freemason equals 96.
Yep, 96. Or
and
they
then
like
I followed that up
69.
with hashtag Stop Human Sacrifices, because they're hot on them this year.
Oh, they're definitely hot on it, but it's been a long laundry list of ritual sacrifices, celebrities and high-profile people and whatnot. You know, I mean, we did have a little break for a little while, for about a month, but from the start of the year all the way through spring, it was a constant influx of non-stop celebrity deaths. Some of them we think real, some of them we think set up, but they were there. They fit into the numbers. They were there. We were following it all the way through.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about, think about Prince, which Zach called back on my show and in his video back in February. You can go back and see that, but all the way back, even remember Bruce Jenner and that whole creepy thing on PCH, and he's a trained race car driver, and I think his makeup artist and some other associates of the Kardashians or relatives got taken out in that quote-unquote car crash.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just do want to tell everybody that's tuning into the show. Putin is alive. He's not been hurt. He was not in the car accident when it happened. But had he been, I do believe he's out of. He's not even in the country at the moment.
No.
But had he been in the country, this is the car that he normally takes. This is his chauffeur, chauffeur of choice for the last few years. But this driver has been a driver for 40 years. So.
I guess we chalk up another one for the summer of chaos, huh?
Oh, it don't stop. It doesn't stop.
They're bouncing all over from country to country, from Paris to U.S., Orlando, now this. Just keeping everyone in that kind of permanent whitewater conditions where you just can't breathe or relax. And everyone's always on edge. What's going to happen next?
Well, Jeff, is it not a worldwide enterprise? Some people seem to forget that. They're just focusing on America or whatnot. They don't seem to focus in about around the world that it is a worldwide enterprise, the whole world, and,
That's the W part of NWO, I would suspect there.
Yeah. They just bounce from, they want to bring everything crashing down, preferably all together.
Well, yeah, and here it is. We knew, we were warned about the summer of chaos. It's truly lived up to its name on pretty much every level, and it is winding down. But I don't think that the chaos will be winding down. We're coming into the end of 2016. We're coming into October, November being the presidential elections. 2017, there's a lot of things going on in 2017, guys. I'm going to be doing a bunch of shows on the year 2017, in particular the month of next September 2017. So and this is my opinion, but it's I would say my educated opinion, that things are going to be ramping up from here on in. So I don't think we're going to be seeing anything. I don't think we're going to be seeing a decrease in the number. I think we're going to see an uptick. I'm just putting that out
and
there.
it seems like it's up to all of us to collectively suss out when the stuff comes falling down where we need to be standing so it doesn't crash upon our heads. And just a note there that the intensity creeps up as we move into 2017, which is 33 years since the publication of 1984, and aren't we pretty much living in that, a world run by screens, people manipulated by their government in unending wars? Folks who haven't read 1984, I think that was their playbook. It's a blueprint, and they're carrying it out.
Yeah, and then we have the added dimension of living in a false reality created by these lunatics and psychopaths, and wow, it is a trip just to analyze it, let alone live in it.
1984 is truly a script for the elite, but it's good because we have our script. We have the Bible.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
And they're coding, see, the Freemasons and the folks who aren't hip with Zach's channel, gematria is how words code breakdown into numbers. And what they're doing, they're using the Bible that they corrupted as a playbook, and they're manifesting revelations right before your very eyes and for your entertainment and listening pleasure.
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct.
And by the numbers. By the numbers.
By the numbers. Right. Math is truly the language of the gods, little g. Big G, because here what it is you know, God created, if you read Genesis, God created the world. He created everything by using his voice. That's a tone. That's a frequency, which frequencies are numbers. So God, you know, spoke into existence the world and created. And we know that, you know, Satan, Lucifer was the musical angel. He was the angel of music and sound and that. So what they do is, you know, Lucifer said, I would place myself to the highest level of God. And that's what he's done. He's corrupted, he's counterfeited everything of God, including mathematics. And that is why when people get on me, they're like, you're not supposed to be into the whole gematria thing. That's evil. You're not supposed to be doing that. Well, here's the thing. It also tells us that we're supposed to know our enemy. And if our enemy is using gematria, numbers, mathematics as the, you know, their language, then we need to understand that as well.
Yeah, we're just decoding and blowing the doors out from under what they're doing, you know. We're not using it to manifest deeds on our own.
No, we're not producing rituals out of it. We're not summoning demons or whatever. We're exposing it as we're told to do. So.
Exactly.
And all you have to do is watch Zach's channel or study gematria the least bit, and you'll learn. And some people it takes 2 or 3 videos. Some people stubborn might take 10, but it's across the board from sports to entertainment to what they just did with that car in Russia to everything on the political stage.
Yeah, and those that don't know who Jeff is talking about, he's talking about Zachary Hubbard. He's a great YouTuber. I put him right up there in line with Mr. Cat Eye when it comes to the numbers. Both of them, you know, they're kind of different ends of the spectrum as far as you know, their interpretation, but nonetheless, they're both really, really good on the numbers. I will put the link in the description below this video so you can find Zach and his channel. But yeah, I did notice the other day he was talking about NASCAR and the correlation between the numbers of the cars and the driver's name in gematria.
Everything. Which I thought, everything. It's like, you got to think of that movie Rain Man. They kind of gave it to you in that movie. Yeah. If you take away the autism, it's exactly how he was so OCD that he had to do these certain rituals. And when this is your religion and this is your superstition, and it goes back to everything, 33 vertebrae in your spine, the solar system, everything breaks down. I mean, 33 is the master number. Something I just learned this morning is, I hate to say it, I got this hillbilly gematria cat. I mean, it's the kind of thing you can't judge a book by its cover, and I don't know where people think where the answers or the people with the answers are going to come from and what they're going to look like and if they're going to be all polished. And we already know what someone who's polished in a show like Reagan or any of these characters are. That's not where the answers are going to come from. They're going to come from a 33-year-old kid like Zach or a long-haired robber like me, or Laurie right here, or any of our friends on the line. You know, that's where these answers are going to come from. But there's this other little gematria wizard, and he's hip to a lot of stuff. And I was watching his channel, and he was drawing on his whiteboard this morning the pillars, and then he made the Mason M from each side of the pillar, and then you do the upside down and connect it for the month of May. And it makes the Roman numerals that's 9/11 right there in the Masonic arch right there, and it's in everything. That's why they have the arch and the compass and square. When you put that all right up, it makes that 9/11. So these numbers, you know, there's certain numbers that are more, when you start really diving into gematria, the 33 is like number 1. For example, 113, you know, Baba Kamal 113. that a Jew can lie to a Gentile to get around him any which way, anything they need to do, whatever they got to do. The 59 is a big one on black people. You can go all the way down the line from the year Motown Records was started by a bunch of Zionists to exploit blacks, all the way to the number of victims. This perpetrator lived at 59 Elm Street. This is how they code the stuff in, all the way down to CNN is so anal about it that their video times will have the 113 in it, or the 33, or the pictures when they put the football players, they make sure they got the player with the 33, or the two players where it adds up to 33, the whole deal.
Well, I want to remind people also the 113, if you're big into Pixar.
Yeah.
Pixar puts 113 into just about all of their shows, all of their
the 311. And
what does that equal? 113 is green screen. That's mainstream. It's all it's all the deceptive words.
And the thing is, this isn't nothing new. They haven't just come up with this in the last 40, 50 years. This is going out for the whole throughout history, which proves that history was scripted. Oh, hello.
All the way back, Pythagoras, all the way back. And you were talking about corrupting things. The Freemasons corrupted the musical scale when they added the flat 5.
That's right.
The devil note.
Yeah.
Right, and you being a musician, you are well aware of the whole the change in the frequency, right?
Well, this is the whole trip that I didn't realize. I mean, I realized and I called it. The way I teach my students, in the way every guitar teacher teaches is wrong, and it's just like how the Freemasons hide their secrets from us. It's the same with music. When you go in and you take your kid and the teacher teaches them the E chord and the A chord and the D major and all these open chords, it's totally the wrong, opposite, backwards way, apple before, or the cart before the horse, chicken before the egg scenario.
Yeah.
The way I teach my students, I realize through Zach, is I guess it's Freemason, it's the secret way. It's called sacred geometry. And there's a cat who had a stroke, and at the height of his playing, I think he was in his 50s, early 60s, he had to relearn how to play. And this epiphany came to him, and he came with this whole new theory of sacred geometry, or sacred geometry. And when I started learning geometry, I started cross-referencing these. I said, hey, this is the same thing. And what it breaks down to is every pop chord, every major and minor chord is made from one augmented triad, basically 3 notes. 3 notes makes every chord shape in the world in every pop song you hear. And then every augmented or twisted kind of jazz chord is made from a diminished 4-note cluster. So every chord in the world comes from 2 chords, and this is a whole sacred geometry method to play guitar. And when I teach a person this in one lesson, they learn the whole fretboard in one day, and that's something that took me 30 years to learn. So this is how powerful these secrets are, and I'm just showing you from the inside as a musician, now that I've learned the layman's way to play and the secret knowledge way to play. It's a big shortcut. It's like one day versus 30 years of learning.
Well, the reason why they have to keep this secret is because of all of the mystical, what do I say, the hidden chords that they put into music now to basically MK Ultra people. It's like.
Well, it's another tool of the Tavistock Institute when they created this music scene, this music industry.
Well, the cat I recommend for that, you want to check it, is Mark Devlin from the UK. He was a guest on my show months before the Free Your Mind conference that just happened.
Yeah, he's on my Facebook.
Yeah, he was the hit, I guess. I saw a bunch of YouTubers saying he was a hit, and he came on my show. You can go back and check the episode, Musical Truth with Mark Devlin, and the whole entire music industry, is a psyop. And I can get real specific. I mean, the most specific. If people think heavy metal is satanic, you got to wake up and get hip, because metal don't hold a candle to country music, because you cannot make it in country music, period, right. End of sentence. And I'm talking all the way back from Hee Haw and Dolly Parton and Buck Owens and Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, all the way up to Keith Urban and Blake Shelton and Kelly Pickler. You cannot make it unless you're a Freemason. And if you go in my photo album on my Music Without Boundaries Facebook, I have a photo album called The Music Business is Whack Yo, and I got bored posting pictures of country music artists, you know, Freemason hand signing and pentagrams and upside down crosses and standing in pyramid symbols. It's rampant. The devil went down to Georgia. Charlie Daniels sang it. He wouldn't ken it, and he had a pentagram on his cowboy hat right there in the front when he sang that song.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Well,
if you guys are interested in the breakdown from country music, I'm friends with a YouTuber. He's known as Colonel Casper UK, and his name's Steve. And Steve, he breaks down the country music aspect of this whole deception very well, I think. You know, everybody gets on the rock and roll, and they get on the, you know, that aspect of it. But I think we forget that the country music stars are just as guilty of
all of them.
Well, let's go back to most Freemasonic song. Let's you can maybe start your next show or your big next Freemason show. Remember that song, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? That's got all the Freemasons. That was like We Are the World. You know, all the Freemason country artists came in one studio and sang that creepy satanic pagan song, Will the Circle Be Unbroken, which is the snake eating its own tail, right?
Right, it is. That's definitely.
I mean, even going back to like Hotel California, you remember that one? I mean, there's so much occultism in that one track alone. You know, it's quite mind blowing.
Everybody, Google the back cover of Hotel California. Look up in the balcony. Who's standing up there? Who's up there standing in the corner, peering out of those archway? None other than Anton LaVey.
Oh yeah.
Anton LaVey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For those of you that are wondering about the snake eating its own tail, it's called the Ouroboros and Ouroboros, and it is definitely it's an occult symbol that they use quite a bit.
And they're tying it this year with the Pulse, and that Pulse event that happened. You know, and they opened CERN up, and they did a storm that day, just like they did a storm the other day.
Yeah.
And then they sent the people down the street to get bottled water because they made it so hot. Wonder what was in that water.
Right.
Population.
What I said when I was doing the shows on the Together, I said, you know, they ended it because it was too hot, but they were passing out free water to everybody before they left. And that is the exact same thing as I asked, is what was in the water? You know, and people are like, oh my God, you're such a conspiracy theorist. No, I just think outside of the box, guys. You know, you gotta do that.
Yeah, when you're awake, we're thinking bears and we notice things like that.
Yeah.
Just that whole day was creepy, and they have the logo, and then you tie the Pulse thing in Washington, then you tie that with Orlando, the Pulse nightclub.
Yes, exactly. So, Jeff, I definitely want to get you on a future show to talk about the Denver airport. I haven't forgotten about that. And maybe even come on and do a show on the whole music aspect, you know, the Luciferian deception when it comes to music, because not too many people are aware of the fact that the music has been changed. And you know, we're not.
You got two musicians there from two different ends of the spectrum, you know, and
exactly. By the way, Robbie, introduce yourself to Jeff.
Yeah, sorry, Jeff. Yeah. I've been in the rave scene in the UK for the last 30 years. I'm an MC and DJ and stuff. But
cool, you and Mark Devlin will get along because he did that stuff too.
I actually know Mark online. We've spoken many times. I will actually get him on the show. I'm stupid for not even thinking of it before. But yeah, I mean, I've been involved in the rave scene, but before that, you know, obviously in the music, following the music and whatnot. In fact, one of my claim to fames is in the area of the UK where I was brought up in Kidderminster. My granddad, when he was alive, used to live in a block of flats. In his flat was dead opposite this guy, and this guy was the uncle of Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin. and they got there was a lot of influence of them in the town and stuff. So, you know, we were brought up with all that stuff and that before I'd even, you know, knew anything about the truth, you know, anything about the satanic side of it, the Freemasons and all that business. So when you was on the other day, I was going to try and bring it up, but obviously you couldn't hear me on there because you was on the phone. But yeah, I've studied this side about the satanic side of Hollywood, the music industry, and all that, and Tavistock, the Tavistock Institute. So I'm aware of how the music industry has evolved for the agenda of the elites, of the Council of 300, the CIA, the security services, and the Tavistock Institute, the Stanford Institute, and all that. So yeah, I'm pretty much up to speed with all that. I find it quite disturbing, to be honest.
Yeah, because music is supposed to be healing, and they're mixing all this other crazy stuff. And like, look at the Bruce Jenner thing. You think it's new? Go back, everybody. Google Tammy Wynette. And look at that tranny and those man hands. Tammy Wynette was one of your first, you know, transsexual country artists.
What?
And yeah, go Google her. It's once you pull back and look at it, I mean,
I don't know if I want to. I'm gonna go back to bed.
Yeah, it's a whole scene. But let me just put what happened with Putin's driver, and let me put in some context with something very real world that happened to me just months ago. And when we talk about this stuff, you never know how close to home it's going to hit you. But let me tell you a story. My buddy, he was the drum tech at the time when I was touring with Megadeth, and his father was Don Menza. This is the gentleman who plays the saxophone on the Pink Panther. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. And his father also was the horn player and arranger for Buddy Rich, one of the greatest drummers in history. Now his son became a great drummer, Nick Menza, and he was my buddy and the drum tech for us on the road when I was the lead guitarist for Megadeth. Well, I left, and after, long story short, he worked his way up, and he became their drummer for many albums, I think 5 or 6 albums. Now, he eventually left the band, and he was playing in a brand new band called OHM, O-H-M. It was nothing to do with metal. It was like a jazz fusion instrumental band. There was no singing at all. And he was playing, this was just a few months ago, and Zach did a video. You can go on his channel and watch this video about Nick Menza, my buddy. He did, just like he did the Vanity video for me, he did a video on Nick Menza for me. Now this guy was playing in Studio City, California, right across from Zionist Universal. I mean, literally across the street, right down the street from 66 Disney. And he's been in the business, you know, for a while. And his father, and not surprisingly, his biography is about to come out. Okay, now it'd blow you away to know that my friend was playing on stage with this band with the whole world to live for, European tours, his biography coming out, 2 young teenage boys that he was living for, had a heart attack on stage while playing with this band and died DOA.
Wow.
Now that's freaky, but let me just put the cherry on top. The drummer he replaced in the band OHM, almost 1 year ago to the date, had a heart attack on stage at the same club, the Baked Potato, and died 3 months later. Wow. So you guys need to put that in perspective. And by the way, Megadeth's having the biggest album in 30 years that they've had, so just saying. That puts it in perspective. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many times in history 2 musicians from the same band have died on the same stage a year apart to the date. But I'd venture to say if people Google it, I'd say it's probably never.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably, never.
It'll never happen again. So
right.
This stuff, it's real, and it hit me real close to home. I did Zach did a video on it. I did a show about it. You know, and it's gonna skate right by. It's gonna skate right by on everyone's radar because no one knows the band OHM, or can name any of these musicians. You know that sound on the Pick Panther that his dad played that song, but again, this is why it's hard for people to put it together, because the puzzle pieces are so far removed and they're so massive and convoluted, and the puzzle is massive. Because this is just a little story in a little corner of the instrumental music world, and now we have a story on the other end of the world with Putin's driver today, and you guys put that together, all your listeners, and do the math on it.
Yeah.
Do the gematria.
Well, I was going to say, John Todd said it quite perfectly back in the 70s about music, you know, about its links to witchcraft and whatnot.
Absolutely. Every song that, you know, I mean, do you wake up, I mean, how many times have we woken up with a song stuck in our head for days and days and days? You know, songs are a form of incantation. They're a form of spells. You know, another thing is you mentioned the name of the group was Om. Om is that sound that you make when you're meditating. Om.
The very sound these folks, the powers that be, want to disrupt. They want to disrupt that Om. That Om means balance, and that's why I named my solo album Equilibrium, because this is the thing. They don't want people making music, and I hate the word making, unmaking, creating, channeling music that is going to raise your consciousness, that's going to make you think, like Bob Marley did. That's why the CIA took him out.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say his name. Oh, yeah, he was the perfect example. You know, and the thing about Bob Marley is that people are starting to realise now that he was, from every single one of his songs, virtually every single one, he was warning about the elite, he was warning about the New World Order in his songs. And yeah, and
what they do, they've turned him into, now they've turned his whole thing into like this Rasta pot smoking, you know, hippie beat, and it's about the feel good beat, and they mask you away, they distract you from all the intent of the lyrics. You know, he was talking about Zionism in his lyrics back in the 70s.
Yeah, and he spent the last year of his life as a Christian. He actually converted, because he on his deathbed he did scream that Jesus save me. Yeah, not a lot of people knew that. Yeah, when, you know, it's just like, you know, you know that the elite don't want none of that, because you don't want them spreading Christianity as well as the good vibes as well, you know, because he was spreading positivity. I actually went to his shrine.
Kingston.
Yeah, up in Mandeville.
Did you go to Kingston, or did you go to where he was born?
Well, I went to Kingston. I actually got lost in Kingston. I actually spent the night in a police station, and it was embarrassing.
That's a whole different story.
It was a whole different story. I wasn't arrested or nothing like that, but I wandered off from my party because, you know, I was going to the place where my dad was born. You know what I mean? I'm Jamaican by my father's nationality, or Hebrew Israelite, as was to say. And yeah, one of the goals was to go up and see his shrine and stuff. So yeah, that was quite an experience for me. You know, I wish I knew then what I know now, though. You know.
Same here. This is the thing. If your listeners don't believe in destiny, or they need further confirmation, again, I'm not sure if you're talking about Kingston. I went to his house in Kingston, where his recording studio and they had it set up, but I also trucked 4.5 hours, let me tell you this story, to where he was born and where his mom, and if you don't believe in destiny, we took it was like kind of like a tall bus, and it was just my ex-wife and myself. We were on our honeymoon, and this driver and his son, and it was like a double-decker bus like they have in the UK, but shorter, and it didn't have an upstairs, it was just tall, and we were going up these cliffs that had like 400 and 500 foot drops, and we went around this bend, and I looked down and I saw a vehicle that had gone off the mountain exactly like ours, and the driver nonchalantly is like, oh yeah, those guys, they didn't make it, and I'm freaking out, and we're driving 4 hours into the middle of the jungles, and I'm telling you, Bob Marley's mother could not have been. This is how primitive it still was to this day, and this was 2000 when I went there. To get water, they literally, on the hillsides, they would stretch tarps, and they would use either cinder blocks or wood, whatever they could do to create a funnel on the mountain, to funnel the water down the hill when it rained into a bucket that they could collect it. There's no running water. There's no electricity in this place. It's so to understand that his mother had this child out in the woods in the middle of nowhere, as far as you could go out there, and for Bob Marley to rise to become the most played artist. And I've toured the world since my 20s. I've never heard any artist played more than the Beatles, more than Elvis. It's Bob Marley that you hear everywhere you go. And even though they tried to shut him down, his music's still out there. And it's definitely just a testament to, if that's your destiny, and I believe that was Bob's destiny, I think people would need to go back and listen to his music, and there's a lot of truth they could find in his lyrics and bring it with everything we're learning now and combine it. And I think a whole new level of awareness with a lot less thrashing each other on YouTube will emerge.
Here, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm all for that.
And I'll tell you what, I would give up everything just to go and live in like that. I've been out there, you know what I mean? I've been out there for a couple of months, and to be honest, when the hammer comes down, I'd rather be over there than over here in civilization, because it is a beautiful place. I mean, it's got a lot of poverty. Yeah, you've got to see the poverty. You can't just go and see all the nice bits of Jamaica. You've got to see all of it to understand what how our people live out there, It's not. And
one thing you learn in a hurry when you're there, and we're going to be, if they end the dollar, I mean, they're bringing the dollar down, whatever they're going to do with the money, bringing it to one world currency or to the chip, whatever they're going to do. You go down to a third world country, and I also lived in Brazil for a couple years when I was playing Brazilian music. But you're in Brazil, you're bartering, and people got to remember that ancient art of bartering. And everybody remember that the most successful money system in history, and the best documentary I found is Money Masters on YouTube. It's about 3 hours and change, but it'll change your life and really help you understand why we're where we're at. And it traces the history of money from Europe to here and how they've corrupted it. But the most successful monetary system, I think it lasted for like it lasted a while. I don't want to quote the number. Watch that documentary. But I think Benjamin Franklin made it happen. It was the money stick. And it was literally nothing but a stick with notches on both sides that you cut in half of different lengths. And if I was going to buy a guitar or a car from you, if I'd give you half the stick and the other half was your receipt, and everything was cool. And it was a stick of wood, people.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely correct. Yeah, and it was very successful for a long time until they decided to bring in this money system, this usury system that they've been using since Christ's time. Yeah, that was
it's a Ponzi scheme. It's a pyramid scheme.
It is. It's a Ponzi scheme, and we know what happens with pyramid schemes. Eventually, they all fall down.
And there's no law whatsoever on the books. And if you guys, I'm going to do it on my show just so you guys can hear it. I'll do it next week. I'm going to call the IRS. I'm going to call the IRS, and I'm going to attempt to have them send me the law that says we have to pay taxes. I'm going to say, surely you got to get this question asked to you all the time. You got to have it in a file right there. Just fax that or email, scan it, send it off to me, mail it, whatever you got to do. Just send me that damn law that shows me I got to pay taxes. And I'll tell you what. And I'll be sending you that promissory note, because that's what you do. You send them a promissory note. Right. I'm real broke right now.
Get that piece of paper that's got that law on it, and I'll just sit here and wait.
I'll wait. Yeah.
You don't hear from the IRS long after that, and I'll tell you that whole IRS thing with Willie Nelson, where he went to jail, and that whole thing was a psyop. Yeah. He didn't go to jail. He smoked a joint on the roof of the White House. I sat on his bus for hours when we played Farm Aid, and Tipper Gore came on the tour bus, and it smelled like a pot factory, and Clinton was president, and Gore was vice president. I'm sitting on Willie Nelson's tour bus, and all of a sudden, like these guys in suits that look like they're in the Matrix, they're coming to get Neo, right? I'm like, uh-oh, what did I do? But they flanked the tour bus, and all of a sudden, here comes Tipper Gore. And this is at the time when she started the PMRC, and she's censoring our record, and the sticker is on our album, And we had a song about that, and here she comes on the bus, and there's a mountain of pot a foot tall on the bus. and she walked into the back of the bus where Willie was, and there was no problems there. So you realize real soon that that wasn't in Kansas where we were playing, but it wasn't far from Kansas where they did Farm Aid. So you realize you're not in Kansas anymore when you see stuff like that happen. When worlds collide, when the vice president's wife and Willie Nelson smoking doobies in the back of the tour bus.
Yeah, make this stuff up, guys. And this is the stuff mainstream media won't show you.
No, you won't see.
Oh, here's another thing. Let's out Anderson Cooper today while we're at it. You guys got to go back, and this is a thing, I don't know how this escapes everyone, and anyone could give this cat any credibility, but Anderson Cooper, everyone go back, and I just happened to, coincidentally, my ex-girlfriend and I happened to catch this season of this TV show. It was kind of like Survivor, but it was called The Mole. And the theme of the show was Survivor, and they sent everyone on missions, and Anderson Cooper was the reality TV show host about missions where there was one of the contestants was a shill, and so you're on these survivor type missions, but they always keep getting thwarted and everything keeps getting messed up because of the shill, and you got to uncover the shill. And and look who became the CNN head shill.
Mr. CIA himself.
Yeah, Anderson Pooper Scooper.
Yeah,
Mr. Green Screen, Mr. 311, Mr. Dishonesty,
Mr. In the Closet, Mr. CIA himself.
Yeah, I got a lot. I used to watch Anderson Cooper back. Well, I would say I watched Anderson Cooper back when I watched Alex Jones, and you know, hey guys, you know, I'm sorry, we all slum it. Okay, admit it, we've all done it. So, yeah, thank God I've woken my eyes have been woken up to those two guys.
Oh, you guys want to get another Worlds Collide thing in? And I wasn't around, I was long gone by this time, but Alex Jones and my former lead singer from Megadeth, Dave Mustaine, not one of the most liked people in the world of music or metal. They're best friends, like vacationing buddies, and you can Google plenty of creepy interviews with those two.
Oh, yeah.
And you flash back a little bit earlier in this interview in that story about my buddy Nick Menzen and his untimely passing, and then imagine Dave Mustaine and Alex Jones, controlled opposition, gatekeeping shill, Freemason, in a room together on a vacation together. Nothing good could come from that.
Mr. Bill.
Did they go to Pedophile Island? I mean, is that where they went? Good God. Yeah, funny story you mentioned about Dave Mustaine. I used to actually I used to get into a lot of higher class restaurants. I used to date it's my daughter's father, actually. He looks just like Dave Mustaine. And we would go seriously. We lived in Phoenix at the time. We used to go out to Scottsdale quite a bit. And we used to go into, you know, the upper, you know, 5-star restaurants a lot. You know,
did you pull the Dave Mustaine card to get?
And we walked in this one restaurant one time, and this guy was like, "No problem, Mr. Mustaine, we'll clear a table for you right now." I looked at Eric and I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Just play along with it. This always happens to me." I'm like,
and everybody, if you want to get some predictive programming, just go back and look at the Megadeth discography. I mentioned on your last show, just I forget how many, few years ago, Super Collider, Megadeth Super Collider, which is, the fans hated that record, but if you look at the cover, it's CERN. It's that popular photo of CERN, and you go all the way back to the second Megadeth album was called Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? And it has their mascot Vic Rattlehead, which is basically a skeleton guy in a suit. He's standing in front of the UN building, which has been blown up after a apocalypse. And you go right down there, Rust in Peace had the Alien Agenda on there, and if you go right down their line of albums, you'll see lots of predictive programming, all the way up to their current album is Dystopia, which is 100% the album cover looks like 1984 with all the transhuman and robots and what are the drones and all that stuff in the air. So
exactly. So, you know, it makes you makes you wonder, you know, basically, we know that the elite use the Hollywood, they use the, you know, motion pictures, but they also do use the music industry too.
And I
You know,
I want to tell you guys, a lot of the musicians are ignorant to this. I was
yes,
ignorant to 20 years ago. So when a lot of this imagery and the stuff that the Zionist record companies spin up, and even some of these pop stars, you gotta suspect how aware they are of this, or how much they're just going along with it because they're so rich
right,
and oblivious, and they're so busy doing interviews and concerts and just trying to live and rest, and the music machine behind their backs can be, you know, here, wear this, here, pose like
well,
this, here, put
it's
this
the same as
stand
our
next to
soldiers.
this pentagram.
Yeah, it's the same as our soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, majority of them don't realize that they're being used by the military-industrial complex, you know, as you know, sacrifices. You know, and I mean, many are waking up to this fact now. But you know, and it's the same thing. You know, once you wake up to it, you can't really go back to sleep to it. You know.
No, I mean, but there is opposed to the ones that do know, the ones that are in the $20 million club. You know, your Jay-Z's and you know, your higher ups who are definitely the Masons that know exactly what they're doing, what they're getting themselves into. They're prepared to do the sacrifices. You know, they're the sickest, most untalented people that I've ever heard or come across in my life. You know.
Exactly.
And for everyone who's doubting this and said this is too outlandish, I lived in Hollywood for 20 years altogether, and I would have said the same thing about a year and a half ago. But once I started, you know, really speaking truth to power on my radio show, literally 1 year ago, on 9/10.
Wow.
And once you put you go on your radio show and tune your frequency, it seems like-minded individuals, like the folks on the other end of the Skype today, and all you out there listening, and Zachary and Mark Devlin and Douglas Dietrich and all the other folks, we've all found our way together, and I think it's to help put the puzzle pieces together. And again, none of the people singularly, it's just like when you look behind the curtain of the wizard, we're all just mere mortals. You know, but I don't know where people think the answer or the way or the truth's going to come from, but it ain't coming from the mainstream. It's just coming from people like us. And if we all put our heads together and take the ego out of the way, and that's the thing, this is how we undo them. Right now they're using our egos against, and the pride, and trying to bait the race war, getting the blacks, and now they're even getting the Native Americans pissed. And you see what they're doing. It's so transparent. If we can all sit down in the bull ring, if we can just get our egos out and work together, they don't have that going for them. If we can be selfless and egoless, that's how we're going to defeat them.
Absolutely.
We're going to turn this whole apple cart around, and it's so easy because this is the thing. There's 1% of them that are doing this. There's 1% of us that are speaking the truth to power and trying to undo it. 98% of y'all don't care.
Yep.
Now, we got to get the rest of you 98% up off the couch watching fake sports, losing your money gambling, and you go to Zach's channel and catch up on your fake sports. And just think, I mean, just take the sports merch industry. How much people are getting, you know, taken for each year, then tickets, then gambling in Vegas, where I live.
Oh, gosh.
Atlantic City. Don't you all... Aren't you sick of being made the fool? Aren't you sick of being played for the fool? As long as they got you on the couch drinking the beer, the poison beer, watching the poison fake sports, and idolizing and naming your kids after the biggest con artist, scum of the earth athletes that you know. I got a buddy who named his kid after Kobe Bryant, and I'm just like, man, you just look at people and, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Right. You know, and here's another thing is, you know, even on YouTube, we're not even reaching nearly, I mean, what we do is not a drop in the bucket compared to the number of people that come onto YouTube. There's 1 billion people that come onto YouTube every day watching videos. You know, if 300 and some people watch a video, that's basically nothing. You know, we're not even reaching, you know, 0.001. I mean, seriously, the number is so low, it's so minute. But my thing is, I'm going to continue doing this, even if I wake up just one person and get them off their butt, just to even do a Google search. Because once that spark is lit, once that light is, you know, pops into your head, and you see the first thing, then you get carried on to the second thing, then you get carried on to the third thing, and it's a reaction, and the awakening begins. That's just my job here. My job is just to plant the seed and to get people just that little spark to maybe open up their eyes.
And again, but it's that same ego. I see people all the time, and they private message me. There's a meme I like to share where it's this lady, she's biting her laptop. She's literally got her whole laptop in her mouth. She's biting. She's like, I want to share this truth so bad, but I'm afraid to because my parents, my friends, my relatives are going to think I'm crazy. But that's ego again. You got to stop caring what people think. What's it gonna matter what people think when you're in a FEMA camp, or they've killed the dollar, they've killed the internet, they've killed electricity, they've killed music and frequency and sound, and music is one of the last things that can heal us. You know?
And what did Christ tell us? He told us that they'd say that we were going to be mad. They said that we were going to be mental, we were going to be laughed at, hated, and ridiculed. You know?
Yeah, my spirit guide prepared me for that. He told me, I don't care anymore. This is the thing, and I tell everyone, you don't got to worry. I got as much on the line. I'm out there. I need as many fans as I get, and it's so hard to make fans. When I started speaking out about 9/11 and the rest, I was afraid of losing fans. But you know, when I sat back and the smoke cleared, I lost a few fans. But they were idiots anyway, and they wouldn't have got my music anyway, because the new music I'm doing is above their heads, because I'm speaking truth to power in my lyrics, and they're going to listen to my lyrics, and they're not going to connect. So I didn't lose anything, but I made thousands more fans. My radio show ratings are up like 100-fold, and the friends that I've made and the truthers that I've met, I've got such a higher quality level of people around me, and angels surrounding me, that, you know, I would never go back. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
We're truly being brought together for a purpose in these final days, and you know, we do. I truly believe iron sharpens iron, and you know, like I said, you know, we share information. You know, we as much as possible, you know, to not let that ego get in the way, because in the end, like you said, it's not going to be anybody else but yourself. You know, you're not going to care who thinks anything of you.
And
when
this is the thing. There's no truther out there that's got everything on point. Not even Zach, not me, not you. None of us have. But take the truth, and the truth from each person. I take a bit from every person that I go to, and just like I did when I was learning how to play guitar, I took a little bit from this guy's style, and that's where you get the amalgamation and the truth. Again, like we said on the last show, the cream rises to the top, and the cream is the truth. And you can't keep the truth down. You can push it down for a while, you can hold it down for a long time, but it's going to surface eventually. Even a drowned dead body surfaces eventually.
You take the meat, you chew on the meat, and you spit out the bones. It's as simple as that. As you said, no one's got everything, but everyone's got a little piece of something, and that's that we all bring to the table. Even people that you don't agree with, you might not agree with someone's point of view, right? You might be totally off, but they might say that one thing that sparks and go, okay, I can agree with that. You know.
I can even say that I go on people's shows and listen and watch that have attacked me, and I've given them a thumbs up, because I'll be like, damn, they got that right. That was a good show. You know, I've got nothing against anybody. You know, it is what it is. So, you know, we move forward, and we just we try to do the best we can with what we've got in the little time we have.
Yeah, and we got to do it in love as well. Yeah, there's no time. We can't hate. We can't hate. Hate is what they want. Yeah, they want the hate. They want the division. They want, you know, the divide and conquer. Yeah. Well, we end up.
And that's why they send the shills out online. And we've got to be able to discern. It's up to your intuition, and your intuition never ever lies. So you know I had people on my show that I knew were shills, but they told 80-90% truth while they were on.
Right. Right.
So, even, again, Alex Jones woke people up, and he's, a gatekeeper. He may not have always been, but he is now. There's shills that have been catalysts for people to wake up. So none of that shit matters anymore. What matters now is we're all in this boat together, and it's going down like the Titanic, and there is no more time for fighting and ego, because that's what they're trying to stir. They stir it with Black Lives Matter. The whole Rodney King was a psyop. 33. Go back and watch Zach's video on Rodney King. They will not. They tried to start the race war. I was living in LA. I stepped outside my rehearsal studio and I watched the smoke. I watched that whole thing. I was just miles away, and I wrote a song called Peace that day. It was about a little boy. I imagined a 13-year-old kid turning on the TV and seeing those guys pulling that one guy out of the truck and smashing the cinder bung in one sitting called. It's actually, I think it's on. I'll send it to you, Laurie, if you ever, so you can hear it. But they've been trying to start the race war and stir it since then. OJ, all the way down the line, the gematria is attached to everything that they've ever done to stir race war. When Martin Luther King was an actor agent. Zach idolizes him, but he still had to break down the truth and do the gematria and show you. So they do all these things. They do Martin Luther King. They do Malcolm X. They do all this stuff, and they will not stop doing it until they're successful and create this race war. And so far, we're not falling for it. People are starting to fall for it, but if we can just stay seated in the bull ring, this is the best lesson I ever got. And this is, again, people can't look at ugly things to get the spiritual lesson out of it, but my spirit guide gave me this analogy of bullfighting, and he said, do you understand that that's the most spiritual lesson? Look at it. And I said, what? And I go, that's repulsive. It's cruelty to animals. He goes, look at it. He goes, the bull ring, the whole bull stadium, it's shaped round like the earth. Whatever shape you believe the earth is, it's round, and all the people in the stands, right? Those are all the people in your life that you're going to encounter. Most of those people in the stands are cheering for the demise, and your ego is the bull, and you're right down there, right? You've got some of your friends in the stands cheering for you, and they're rooting for you to win. And there's that, the matador. He's shaking that cape, and that could symbolize any challenging circumstance. That cape could be any person, any mountain we need to surpass, any ego challenge we come up against in our life. And we all know the thing that we should do is just sit down right there and not engage and waste our energy. And especially we know that matador's got a bunch of swords in his sheath there. But our ego, every time we run straight, thinking that we're noble, thinking that we're standing up for our position or what what's right, and every time we run ourselves through for bullshit, literally. And he said, well, but what if you just, sat down in the bull ring for a minute instead of always being the bull that destroys your own china shop? He goes, yeah, you're powerful. I get that. You're powerful, Jeff. I get that. But if you sat down in the ring, yeah, sure, the matador, he'd start shaking his cape a lot harder. But eventually his arm's going to get tired. He's going to get bored. And he's going to take off. And the audience is going to get bored long before that, and they'll be gone. And you know who's going to be left? You sitting in the bull ring and the people that care about you. And that's all that matters, and that's the end of the story. And you killed your ego, and you didn't let your ego run you through.
Yeah, very, very, very good words. Thank you, Jeff. That is just, yes. We're going to probably wind this down.
From some long-haired rock and roll musician? Where'd that come from?
And here's the thing. I just want to put it out there. I did not know who you were, Jeff, until about a week and a half ago. I
grow on you, right? I grow on you slowly. I grow on you slowly.
Well, no. I mean, as far as, you know, your musical background and you know, your past and everything. I just thought you were just some guy who had a musical show and, you know, that you played the guitar and you sing, you know, and you know, that was all I knew. And somebody messaged me and they're like, do you know who he is? I was like, yeah, he's a friend of mine. I was like, I talked to him quite a bit on, you know, on Facebook. I said, you know, I listened to his show and, you know, whatever. And they're like, and they told me who you were. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, that's cool, you know, but it's like, yeah, I had no idea up until about probably a week and a half ago exactly who you were, and I'm very honored that you know, to know you, and I'm so glad that you are taking the opportunity with the experience that you have in the music industry, and you know that you've woken up and that you're using that musical talent on your show to wake up other people. I truly commend you for that, Jeff, because not too many people out there are doing it for fear of retaliation, for fear that, you know, like you said, that you're going to lose fans.
But you don't, and you won't. And it's my humble pleasure to do it. If you go back my whole career, if you look at the Brazilian album I did, we were writing about, you know, taking care of the environment and that stuff back in the 90s. And even a lot of the Megadeth lyrics are very awake. You know, I got to give it to Dave Mustaine on that front. Music is a beautiful thing. I'm just trying to find my way. It's hard for the guy to be dressed in white on the white horse and do things upright and honest in a business that's, you know, especially right now, it's more Luciferian and it's darker. The pop artists, when I'm watching Beyonce, just the other night on the VMAs, it's darker and blacker than the blackest metal shows that I've ever seen. I don't know what happened. I feel like my parents, you know, when I brought a Kiss album home or something, like, you know, I get how they feel because I'm sitting here watching this and I'm in this business and it's not computing for me. And what I'm seeing has nothing to do with music.
What you're seeing is next level. You're seeing the next level up, and it's not a nice place to be. I actually feel sorry for these artists, because they are trapped in a world that they can't come out of. Yeah, you know.
And that's for sure. What you said. I didn't mean to interrupt, but for sure, people. Some of them are satanic, and some of them are hooked to some stuff. But I've met Ozzy. I've met some of these people. He's a bumbling fool. He couldn't be doing any of this stuff you know, and all that stuff, biting the head off a bat. It's all publicity stunts. It's lies. The music industry fights. All the fights that the bands have, they fight for a few years so they go out on tour later, reunite, and get more money, like Guns N' Roses. Look what they just did. They broke up for all those years, went off, did solo projects, took their time writing a new album, and they made all that money. This is how they do it. This is, you know.
Did Axl Rose actually get on the treadmill in the end, though? You know?
It doesn't look like it. I think he broke his leg before he went out with AC/DC and did that. But a lot of the artists are clueless and the actors are clueless, because I know some of them, and they're not Freemasons and they're not involved in this. They just got caught up in stuff that. But again, now the pop stuff is way in the country is way more satanic and Luciferian than the hard rock and the metal is. It's really flipped. It's crazy, and I don't know a lot of those people. So some of those people may be sacrificing and stuff, but I mean that's been going on forever. You know, there's just not that many people out there that are serial killers and interested in going around and killing babies. We know who, and young children. We know who's doing that and who's always been doing that.
Yeah,
exactly. It's been what it's been since the beginning, and exactly. So I do, like I said, I'm going to cut close this show up. Robbie and I have another show coming up in less than an hour, or what time? An hour and 15 minutes. And I need to prepare for that one. This was, this was something that I wasn't planning on. I want to thank you, Jeff, for joining us, because, your insight is truly appreciated. We like to always get some new people on here to kind of spruce things up a little bit. And but if you're just tuning in, Putin's presidential vehicle was involved in a head-on accident earlier today. Putin was not involved in it. Putin seems to be fine, but his his chauffeur has been, we believe he's been killed. So that's where we stand with that. So thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening, everybody. And the takeaway from this is, okay, if that happened over there, that head-on collision, that big boom, if that happened over there on the right hand, we need to look over and see what their left hand's doing right now.
Exactly.
Jeff, where can our viewers find you?
It's easy. My main hub is JEFFYOUNGGTR.com, JeffYoungGTR.com. The radio show is JeffYoungRadio.Vegas, and the straight ahead live link is JeffYoungJams.com. I'm on Spreaker along with Tommy Chong and Susan Powder and a bunch of other amazing DJs. And I'm usually on Wednesdays, but I'm telling you, this week I think I'm going to do my show on Sunday because of 9/11, and also because Zachary K. Hubbard is debuting his first show tomorrow night on Truth Frequency Radio. It's his first show, and I want all my listeners to go support his show, and I want to listen to his show. So I'm going to be listening tomorrow night at 7 to Zach's show on Truth Frequency, and his.
Are you? I'm sure you're going to be posting the link up tomorrow. Yeah. I know you'll tag me. So.
Yeah, for sure. His channel on YouTube is free to find Truth, Zachary K. Hubbard. And then I also have a YouTube channel if you want to check out my music and stuff. It's just youtube.com/JeffYoungTube. Because all artists, we got our own MTV now.
Yeah.
Nice. I appreciate that. Robbie, any closing thoughts?
Well, as I said, it's great to get like-minded people here, and the one thing that stuck in the mind is what you said about the man behind the curtain. I've learned to find that there's a curtain behind that curtain, and as you said, you've always got to watch what the left hand's doing, the right hand's trying to distract you. But as I said, that's it really. I mean, you can find me at the usual places. It's Illuminati Soldiers of Truth page on Facebook. You can find me at Exposing Satanic World Government on Facebook, and you can find me at our new group, the Ultimate Hebrew Israelite Awakening group. We've got 70 people in there already. This is great.
I didn't know you were Illuminati. I'm on your page. I share your stuff all the time. I love you.
Oh man, yeah. I'm one of the admins on there. We're going strong. We got just over. How many we got now? We've got over 300,000 people on there now. So we're getting the word out. Yeah, we're getting.
Let me mention another great truth group. This is I started a truth group because I got sick of posting stuff on my main feed and having to deal with the ramifications. So I started a private group. It's Truth Sells, but who's buying?
Yes.
And there's no shills in there. There's no toxicity. If you want a truth,
seriously, that I've got to say, that group is so relaxing to go in there.
If you want a shill-free, truthful experience, it's Truth Sells, but who's buying on Facebook.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank both of you gentlemen for coming on with me today. As always, it's a pleasure to have you guys. Thank you to everybody in the chat room. Robbie and I will be back on at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're going to do part 4 of the Illuminati. Well, I can't even talk right now. See, I didn't have my nap. The Illuminati family bloodlines. We're talking about Freemans tonight. And Jeff did mention about a very an artist. His name is Bob Marley, and we're going to leave you with a little bit of Bob on the way out. Thank you, guys. Peace.
Beautiful peace.
Get up, stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Preacher man, don't tell me heaven is under the earth. I know you don't know what life is really worth. It's a all that Peter exposed.